Welcome to NACTV Reads the News. My name is Cathy McGrath, and I'm one of the many volunteers that help create programming for our station. NACTV can be seen on MTS Channel 30 or 1030, Westman Cable Channel 117, Bell Satellite Channel 592, or online at nactv.tv. These programs are made possible by our volunteers, staff, advertisers, as well as donations made by you, our viewers. If you are enjoying your NACTV experience, please consider supporting us by either donation or volunteering. You can contact our office at 204-476-2639 or at nactv@wcgwave.ca. And today is Friday, January 7th, 2022, the first issue of a brand new year. And the front page, students start the new year with remote learning. The province implementing phased-in approach for return to work. And pictured is Manitoba Education Minister Cliff Cullen, and along with Premier Heather Stephenson and Deputy Chief Public Health Officer Dr. Jazz Atwell announced back-to-school plans on Tuesday. The majority of students from kindergarten to grade 12 will be back to school at home for a week. On Tuesday, January 4th, the Manitoba government announced that remote learning will be implemented from January 10th to 17th, with some exceptions. Our government's number one priority is to protect the health and well-being of all Manitobans, especially our children, youth, and most vulnerable citizens, said Premier Heather Stephenson. We are announcing a slight adjustment for the return to classes to give schools additional time to implement enhanced protocols to ensure in-person learning for all students can continue under the pandemic plans and to give public health more time to learn about the Omicron variant's effects in Manitoba. We know our children learn best in a classroom setting, and it is our goal to ensure they can return to the classroom as quickly as possible. Children of critical service workers from kindergarten to grade 6 will be able to attend school in person from January 10th, as well as at high-risk students and those with special learning needs from kindergarten to grade 12. The province also announced that schools will be moving to the restricted orange level on Manitoba's pandemic response system. The delay in returning to in-person classes is intended to help school administration and staff prepare for the shift. Education Minister Cliff Cullen stated that the province has been implementing more measures to help slow the spread of COVID-19 in schools. These measures include distributing 500,000 rapid tests to all schools for students from kindergarten to grade 6, as well as supplying at least 5 million more medical masks for both children and adults for use in the schools. Cullen also announced that the government will be investing up to $80 million in new funding for schools to help with some of the financial pressures associated with the pandemic, as well as teacher wages. We know school divisions are facing financial pressures at this time, and this investment will enable schools to continue providing high-quality learning for all Manitoba students, said Cullen. This investment today builds on other funding increases to ensure our system is supported, particularly during COVID-19, and as we move forward to implement the recommendations from Manitoba's Commission on Kindergarten to Grade 12 Education. The 2021 snowfall cleared in Neepawa in 2022. Several outlying factors contributed to delay in snow meridians removal. And the top picture was taken on Tuesday after the snow was piled from the middle of the mountain, and the bottom picture was the same view on Sunday with the accumulated snow pushed to the center of the road. This is by Owen Devereaux. After an extended delay due to mechanical issues, Neepawa's primary streets and roadways have been cleared of their snow meridians. The piles of snow had been in place along Mountain Avenue, Hamilton Street, and a few other roads since a major storm passed through the region on December 27th. Just as impactful as the initial snow, however, was the severe cold temperatures that immediately followed behind that major snowfall. an extreme cold spill. According to the town's social media platforms, the extreme temperatures had caused issues with the hydraulics of the machinery for the Public Works Department and contractors. It was requesting patience from residents with the delays, as it anticipated that the removal of the snow piles would be done by January 4th or 5th at the latest. Several other factors were involved. Chief Administrative Officer for the town of Neepawa, Colleen Sinchishan, said that the snow clearing vehicles were, in fact, able to successfully get out and onto the streets between 4 and 5 a.m. on January 4th. The majority of those snow piles were able to be cleared before midday. As for the delays to the removal of the snow over the holiday season, several factors were cited, including the extreme cold, putting some of the machinery at great risk, as well as a shortage of personnel and their contracted snow removers' commitments to additional snow removal in rural areas. The snow removal contracts for the town of Neepawa are operated through P. Baker Backhoe Services and Rob Smith & Son Backhoe and Trucking Limited. Manitoba Ag Days postponed. The 2022 edition of Manitoba Ag Days in Brandon will not be going ahead as originally planned. Ag Days representatives announced on December 28th that they would be postponing the event, which was originally scheduled for January 18th to 20th at the Keystone Centre. The reasoning for the decision was based upon new COVID-19 public health orders issued by the Manitoba government on December 27th. The new orders are limiting the capacity of indoor gatherings to 50% or 250 people until further notice. In light of the public health orders by the Manitoba government further restricting the capacity of indoor events to 50% capacity with a maximum of 250 people per event, Manitoba Ag Days and its board of directors has made the decision to postpone the 2022 show to a date yet to be determined, stated Manitoba Ag Days team via media release. The management team did add, however, that it was working with the Keystone Centre and service providers to come up with alternate dates. Further information will be provided as soon as possible. This is the second consecutive year that the event has been affected by the situation surrounding COVID-19. In 2021, Manitoba Ag Days in-person events were cancelled entirely due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Kaleidoscope brings Saul James to the Roxy. Pictured is Manitoba singer-songwriter Saul James, set to perform at the Roxy Theatre in Neepawa on Tuesday, January 11th. This is a great year for the Kaleidoscope concert series, and this show will soar. The Saul James Show is sponsored by High Life, who we gratefully acknowledge, as well as our season sponsor, Rob Smith & Son Backhoe and Trucking, who are a big part of our amazing year of concerts. This Manitoban singer-songwriter has a beautiful and powerful voice. She has a unique take on roots and blues music with a soulful feel. Audience say she will leave you smiling, dancing, and celebrating the great stuff in life. She's funny too, and it has been reported that you can hear a Saul James audience laughing a mile away. Saul James has been performing for over a decade and has released 2 recordings. Beyond her busy performing career, she has been teaching the art of singing to students of all ages and stages through the Manitoba Conservatory of Music and Arts, the University of Manitoba Preparatory Studies, and privately. She can also be found sharing art, expression, and joy in hospitals and long-term care environments as a performer and more recently as a music therapist. All Manitoba health restrictions will be followed at the concert. Proof of vaccination at the door, 50% capacity, masks worn throughout the concert, plus there will be no intermission during the 90-minute show. Advance tickets are available at Arts Forward and Home Hardware. Tickets are also available at the door of the Roxy before the show. Kaleidoscope encourages people to purchase a ticket in advance to reduce lineups in the cold on concert day. Don't miss out on another entertaining and fun evening at the Roxy. Show starts at 7:30 p.m. on Tuesday, January 11th. Prepare to be entertained, dancing in your seat, and don't forget your proof of vaccination card. Home Buddies by Rita Friesen. Things that make me smile. It was while reading a collection of Nellie McClung's columns that a phrase arrested my attention. Nellie has retired from most political passions and is nesting on Vancouver Island. She reflects on her goal to continue writing, expanding on Clearing in the West, recording some of the many firsts she had witnessed: women's struggle for political equality, the rise of women's clubs, the heroic struggle to eliminate the liquor traffic and its disastrous sequel. She wanted to put into words what she knew of these women who had been too busy making history to write it. She goes on to admit that she never wrote it, for the beauty of the West Coast spring rather than a prairie spring was drugging. The anesthesia of beauty had me in its clutches. That was the phrase that caught me. I have knowingly been surrounding myself with things that make me smile. I have admitted to friends and in public that this pandemic is wearing, that my apathy is alike to a form of battle fatigue, and I am losing my desire to be good. That will not surprise those who know me well, so I need to attend to my thoughts and thought patterns. Having my eyes settle on items and photos that cause me to smile is a start. Not excelling at home design, I made little corners or shelves of collections. The one parlor table has several silvery containers, ribbed and glowing, a couple of tea candle holders that look like antique glass doorknobs, and an ornate, antique-looking heavy picture frame, a 3-inch by 3-inch pen and watercolor painting of a teapot and teacup, created by one of my daughters many years ago. That corner vignette makes me smile. Topping a sideboard is a collection of photos: a gardener hand supporting a bowl of freshly shelled peas, a gift from the gardener daughter, an icicle reflecting the old maple tree in the front yard of the acreage, photo taken by one who shared our hearth and home, bronze rocks surrounded by the softest blue water, a card sent from a studying friend, 3 heads of grain backed by a prairie sunset, a photo taken by a family member, a tall bare tree silhouetted in the night sky with just a trace of a moon, a card from a grandson, a set of photos of a series of windmills on a dike, a postcard from Holland, a sight through which we biked. All those photos are set in simple white frames, and I see and feel the beauty of the seasons and all creation every time I glance at or study them. My newest set of things that make me smile are flower pots. Not all of them have inhabitants yet, but their colors and shapes evoke smiles. Tall white ones with pink and blue flowers etched on them, a short squat pink one, an elegant floral mid-size one, and an antique-looking floral one. More than ever, I seek to see the beauty in life and in the living. I look for things that make me smile. Thumbs up and thumbs down. Thumbs up. A big thank you to Amanda and the staff at the Salvation Army thrift store for hosting my woodcraft show and sale again. Thank you to our local paper for good advertising, and thank you to all who purchased wood items. All proceeds go to Compassion Canada Child Survival Program, caring for children in needy countries. Fred Quist, Neepawa. Thumbs up. A big thank you to Lee's Village Restaurant for providing our takeout supper Christmas Eve, and they went the extraordinary distance with a nice Christmas chocolate treat added in the package. Shopping at home pays to support our locals. Terry and Donna Smith. And another big thumbs up. I would like to say a thank you to Team Electronics, especially Dave and Neil. When I was still on the NACTV board, I was in charge of the business campaign, and it never failed when the word was out that the business campaign would be underway. I went to Team Electronics and a check was ready, and Dave McIntosh was a great supporter for as long as I was doing the business campaign. And Neil McNorland, on a personal note, took our printer, cleaned it up, and let me know it was ready to be picked up. Their salespeople, Kevin and Arlene, were always ready and willing to help with the Bell MTS problems. Thank you for your many years of service. And that's from Jean Bocart. Manitoba Public Insurance is to issue the 3rd rebate in less than 2 years. Manitoba Public Insurance, MPI, customers can expect a rebate check in mid-February 2022. This rebate of $312 million will result in about $328 rebated to an average private passenger policy. It's estimated that about 578 checks will be issued. Customers planning a change of address should notice MPI no later than January 12, 2022 to ensure they receive the rebate check. Rebate amounts of $10 or less will be credited to the customer's account. This is the third MPI COVID-19 rebate in less than 2 years. In total, MPI will have provided rebates of nearly $500 million to its policyholders. $110 million in May 2020 and $69 million in December 2020. This latest rebate was made possible to a combination of fewer claims during the COVID-19 period and continued strong financial results. The rebate is calculated on the basic auto pack premiums paid between November 22, 2020 and December 9, 2021, and is expected to be about 27% of the customer's annual basic auto pack premium. Manitoba Public Insurance reveals the top 5 auto insurance frauds of 2021. Auto insurance fraud costs Manitoba Public Insurance ratepayers an estimated $50 yearly. A dedicated special investigating unit at MPI is committed to investigating suspicious claims and detecting fraudsters on behalf of the honest ratepayers. MPI releases its annual top 5 fraud list to raise awareness about the costs related to auto insurance fraud, said Satvir Jatana, MPI's Chief Customer Officer. The list is compiled based on the unique circumstances of each fraud, financial savings to MPI ratepayers, and the investigative techniques used in confirming fraudulent activity. Anyone with information about auto insurance fraud is encouraged to call the Manitoba Public Insurance Tips Line, 204-985-8477, or toll free 1-877-985-8477. All calls are anonymous. Last year, the SIU closed about 1,000 investigations, resulting in a claim savings of about $14 million. Number 1, phony kidnapping. After her badly damaged vehicle was recovered by police, the Winnipeg woman told MPI her vehicle had been stolen out of her garage. She said the thieves messaged her via Facebook demanding payment for returning the car. The woman admitted she did not call police, but agreed to meet the thieves, who she stated then kidnapped her, speeding around the city for hours and eventually crashing the vehicle. Due to many gaps in the story, MPI's Special Investigations Unit launched an investigation. An examination of the vehicle's ignition and immobilizer system, conducted by MPI's Research and Training Department, revealed that the vehicle would not run without a key inserted into the ignition. In her statement, the owner confirmed that she had all keys in her possession. When presented with the findings of the investigation, the vehicle owner admitted she had lied about the kidnapping. Truth was, she was in the vehicle driving around with a group of friends, drinking and speeding around the city. They eventually crashed into another vehicle and immediately ran from the scene. The theft claim was denied, saving MPI an estimated $68,000. Number 2, the Fast and Furious. The 20-year-old driver told the MPI adjuster that he had been working a lot of overtime during the week and one night, while driving home around midnight, fell asleep and drove off the road, crashing into a half a dozen parked vehicles. The posted speed limit on the road was 50 kilometers, with the young driver saying he was traveling 55 kilometers per hour at the time of the crash. However, the extent of the on-site damage contradicted the man's story. A download of the vehicle's data crash recorder indicated the vehicle was traveling at nearly 140 kilometers per hour at the time of impact. The brake pedal was not applied and seatbelts were unbuckled. Surveillance footage was also taken from various locations on the traveled road, showing the vehicle was racing with another vehicle seconds before the crash. There was also an on-site investigation which confirmed there was a long, straight 1.6 kilometer stretch of road where the racing took place. The road then makes a left curve, which was the one vehicle was unable to negotiate, causing it to leave the road and crash heavily into a number of parked vehicles. Based on the facts of this investigation, the collision claim was denied and MPI has begun a recovery of costs from the responsible driver. Cost savings to MPI estimated to be $150,000. Number 3, trucking along. A professional truck driver, the Winnipeg man was injured in a single vehicle incident while hauling a load. Based on the extent of his injuries, he was entitled to receive income replacement benefits and personal care assistance payments. He told his MPI case manager that his injuries prevented him from lifting his arms above his shoulders, unable to lift heavy objects, physically unable to drive more than 15 minutes, could no longer take out the garbage and recycling bins or work his regular job. After receiving information that the man was working while still collecting benefits, an investigation was opened, consisting of surveillance which conclusively showed the man was working, able to drive many hours a day, and was seen carrying a number of objects, including a heavy wooden cartons. Based on the investigation, MPI contacted the man and informed him his benefits were being terminated. He was also charged with fraud over $5,000 and make false statement. Estimated savings to MPI was more than $700,000. Number 4, center stage. 2 individuals opened separate collision claims, with one driver admitting he was responsible for the T-bone collision at an intersection. The SIU investigator attended to the collision scene and noticed a surveillance camera pointed in the direction of the collision intersection. The surveillance clearly showed both vehicles slowly traveling through the intersection several times prior to the collision. The surveillance also showed both vehicles were deliberately positioned in a T-bone configuration, with one car accelerating into the other vehicle, which was slowly entering the intersection. When presented with the facts, one owner admitted he and his friend planned this staged collision to write off their vehicles. Savings to MPI was $15,297.46. And number 5, the canine caper. The Winnipeg woman opened a collision claim stating a dog ran onto the roadway, causing her to swerve and collide with a pole and a large flower pot located in the yard of a private residence. There was significant damage to both the woman's 2020 Ford Explorer and the items in the yard. The woman also provided the name of a third-party witness who told the MPI adjuster that the vehicle did swerve to avoid a dog and the woman was driving. Based on statements received, MPI determined the driver was not at fault, resulting in no financial compensation from MPI to the owners of the private property. When told of this decision, the owners of the property then provided MPI with video footage of the collision, which clearly showed there was no dog running across the road and the driver of the vehicle was male. When presented with this new information, the woman admitted to lying to protect her boyfriend, who was driving and did not hold a valid driver's license. The witness would later admit that they had come across the crash after the fact and did not see a dog. The collision claim was denied, and MPI is seeking to recover costs from the unlicensed driver. Claims savings to MPI was $29,840.08. Gladstone pilot shares years of stories. Pictured is Blaine Bjarnson Wright, poses on the steps of a seaplane with a Maldivian cabin attendant center. Bjarnson wrote and self-published a book detailing many of his exploits as a seaplane and bush pilot. This is by Casper Wareham. Blaine Bjarnson's interest in planes all started when he was a young boy. Growing up in the Gladstone area, both his father and Uncle Ronald were farmers as well as pilots. Those family ties provided the initial spark. Then, at the age of 10, Bjarnson got his first taste of winged freedom. It was during that flight he knew he wanted a pilot's license. However, it wasn't until he was 18 years old that Bjarnson made up his mind to fly commercially. That decision came after a conversation with his cousin, Ed Rinn, who was a pilot in Manitoba's north at the time. Bjarnson has been flying ever since. Hooked on flying. My first job was as a dockhand alongside Ed in Ilford, Manitoba in 1976, said Bjarnson. I became a flying instructor in 1977 and instructed out of the Gladstone Airport in 1977 and early 1998, but I took a job on a C-185 on floats in May of 1978 and never went back to the instructor job as I was hooked on bush flying. As a bush pilot, Bjarnson says he's done just about any job one could, thinking of being done with an airplane that was land-based. Vehicles can't get access to. For example, bringing supplies and personnel to flying in fishing and hunting camps, exploration camps, drill camps, flying out trappers to their trap lines, flying tourists to specific locations, photo and video flights, medevacs, calls at all times of the day for medical emergencies, hauling lumber and supplies for buildings, hunting charters for local First Nations peoples, landing where there are caribou for them to shoot from the aircraft, and bringing canoers to remote locations so that they can set off for a 6 to 8 week canoe trip in the farthest regions of Canada's north. There's so many different things you can do with the bush plane on floats or skis, Bjornson expressed. Memories kept coming. To date, Bjornson has been a pilot for 46 years and has flown for 45. In his career, he has flown extensively in northern Canada, the United States Virgin Islands, the Maldives, Rhode Island, Croatia, and Saudi Arabia as both a bush pilot and a seaplane pilot. Now, several stories from his adventures have been recorded in Bjornson's very own book titled Old Pilot, Bold Pilot. This book was a labor of love that he undertook in December of 2020 after being laid off from his seaplane job in April of 2000. The hotel we had purchased in Thailand just before COVID hit had very few customers and I had no salary. So I had a lot of time on my hands, said Bjornson. Initially, I thought I did not have enough memories to fill up 10 pages, but it ended up taking on a life of its own. Once I started, the memories kept on coming and I had a hard time saying enough is enough. Sure enough, after 5 months of writing, the book was finished and a whopping 230 pages were provided to a publisher for editing. Shortly after, the book was coming out of the print shops in August of 2021 and has reportedly been selling well. More information and copies of the book are available at the Old Pilot, Bold Pilot social media page and on www.aviatorsbookshelf.ca. Bjornson, currently age 63, returned to work on November 4th, 2021 and is currently enjoying his last couple of years of flying in the Maldives before retirement. Carberry, North Cyprus, Langford, Here and There by Gladwin Scott. Terry Wright and Betty Burma are all smiles to mark the retirement from their Carberry signs business in mid-December, and pictured as Terry Wright on the left and Betty Burma on the right at the retirement. Betty started in the business in January 2005, and Terry joined her in November 2006 with her artistic talents. They have more time for golfing and curling. Carberry Signs has been sold to Cal and Shauna Fadak and Michael Fadak and Shaylee Smith. Carberry can be very proud of their performance hosting the 2022 Scotties Tournament of Hearts. It required a great deal of planning and commitment from many people. Much of the infrastructure in the arena was purchased by Neepawa, who will host the 2023 Viterra men's curling event. Mackenzie Zacharias, 22, skip of the young talented rink who won the right to represent Manitoba at the National Scotties in Thunder Bay, stated it was an incredible experience. Greg Iwasko makes great ice. Small towns always put on a great show. Their team had awesome accommodations in Glen and Aggie Mueller's, a few miles outside of Carberry. In a telephone interview from Altona, Mackenzie said she started curling at 6 years of age with the rocks and rings and was coached by her dad Sheldon and grandfather Ken Penner. She hopes to complete her kinesiology degree this spring at the U of M and get a position in the healthcare field or become a personal trainer. She stated that her hair is naturally curly and their family, including 3 younger siblings, attend the Bergthaler Church. She is definitely a people person. Her third, Kaylee Burgess, 23, who hails from Truro, Nova Scotia, has a fantastic record of 3 world curling crowns in 2016, 2018, and 2020. The girls met at Prince Albert at the Nationals and decided to join forces, and so Carly moved west. She has graduated from kinesiology and is employed in Winnipeg. Sister Emily, 20, plays second, and they have curled together for many years. She is also in her 3rd year of kinesiology at the University of Manitoba. Lead, Lauren Lenantine, a former skip from PEI, is a good judge of incoming rocks, so is in the house when Mackenzie is throwing last rocks. Mackenzie, who is the defending Canadian and World Junior Curling Champion, is excited for her first Manitoba Scotties win, and she looks forward to the Women's Nationals in Thunder Bay. Hopefully they can organize a bubble like the past events. Carberry Scotty's chairperson, Rob Van Comer, who was a former Curl Manitoba president and an honorary life member, said, "We were absolutely lucky with the pandemic and the weather. Our committee members did super jobs and our 220 volunteers were very committed. 11 games were streamed online with 70,000 hits. This was the first time in Manitoba for online streaming of games, and Sportsnet covered the semi-final and the final games." Rob added that they did well financially, and donations from the progressive 50-50s went to the Christmas Cheer Board, $2,900, and childcare, co-op, $1,900, and $1,000 went to junior curling from some raffles of a variety of autographed curling shirts. Their Scotties Committee final meeting is tentatively slated for January 17th. 24 players attended the annual Tyler Plant Brian Elder Goaltender School in Carberry, December 29th and 30. There were 14 players on the waiting list. Dustin Fisher conducted the dryland sessions. The school ran from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m., with a lunch break provided, stated organizers Jamie and Amy Smart. Plant is the Brandon Wheat Kings goalies coach. And here we have a picture of the Carberry Collegiate peer mentors getting ready to drop off the school's Christmas cheer gifts. And all the students are named and lined up, and it looks like they did a good job. Still on sports, GCB Wildcats finished 2021 strong by Gladwin Scott. The GCB Wildcats finished the 2021 season with a 9-4 decision over host Minnedosa Erickson Chancellors Tuesday, December 22nd, and lost a 4-3 shootout contest in Glenboro on the Christmas Classics Wednesday, December 23rd. Peyton Elliott scored 3 times and added a helper for the GCB squad, who were ahead 6-3 after 40 minutes. Denting the twine once each were Carson Nakonchny, Kylan Aiken, Jared Waldner, Landon Goodnison, Tyler Hood, and Dylan Hood. Assists were collected by Captain Deegan Campbell, Nathan Dick, Preston Shearer, Cotter Elliott, Goodnison, and Nakonchny. Keegan Gaywish put 3 goals behind goal Carson Mooney, and Luke Guggen added another one for the hosts. The visitors outshot the Chancellors 70-20. In the popular Christmas Classic, the period scores were 0-0, 2-2, and 3-3. Kyle O'Connor tied the game with a 2:50 left in the third and fired the winner in the shootout. Trey Dixon had given the Wildcats a 3-2 lead with assists from Johnny Myers and Jared Wallner at the 10:50 mark. In the second frame, host goals were scored by Dylan Hood and Jaron Waldner, with help from Myers, Dixon, Carter Elliott, and Peyton Elliott. The hosts outshot the Killarney-Wanesa Raiders 46-32. In 2022, the Major Pratt Trojans visited Glenboro Sunday, January 9th at 2 p.m., and Birtle Shoal Lake are there Wednesday, January 12th at 7:30. Neepawa Titans start 2022 off right with a well-earned win over Selkirk Steelers. Neepawa Titans captain Austin Klein, number 8, looks to advance the puck into the Selkirk zone as Steelers forward Cameron Hibbert, 19, attempts to knock the puck away. This is by Owen Devereaux. The Neepawa Titans have returned from the Christmas break with a solid 6-4 win over the Selkirk Steelers. The game, played on Tuesday, January 4th at the Yellowhead Centre, was the first of the new year for any clubs in the Manitoba Junior Hockey League, MJHL. All the other teams will not play their first games of 2022 until the weekend. Cody Goodnison scored a pair of goals for the Titans on the night, including one late in the second period, which would end up being the go-ahead and game-winning goal. Goodnison said it was good to get out there early in the new year and compete in a meaningful game. The first couple of skates at practice after the Christmas hiatus were tough, but I thought we came out with good legs and played hard for the 60 minutes and came away with the wins, stated Goodnison. We liked that fact, that we were able to get out there and play early in the year as opposed to spending the first week just practicing. Now we can look forward to the rest of the week, just getting back into the routine and preparing ourselves for the weekend game in Selkirk and the grind ahead. Other goal scorers for Neepawa included Brady Stain, Jager Lapointe, Braden Michaluk, and Cameron Trimble. Titans assistant coach Robbie Moore said he was impressed with the team's efforts on the ice. He singled out their performance during a 2-man penalty kill midway through the third period as a turning point. I liked a lot of the team today. The team was focused and came up with some plays when they needed them. like during the multiple penalty kills late. There were a couple of huge shot blocks. They all just knew their jobs, stuck to the plan, and executed. They clogged up the shooting lanes, and goaltender Gavin Renwick was there to make the saves when we needed them. We put in the hard work, put in the effort, and got rewarded. Next for Neepawa will be the return matchup with the Steelers in Selkirk on Saturday, January 8th. The Titans' next home game will be Saturday, January 15th, against the Portage Terriers. And Jaeger-LaPointe plays a 100th MJHL game, and pictured as Jaeger-LaPointe of Neepawa Titans has just reached 100 games played in the MJHL, again by Owen Devereux. Jaeger-LaPointe recently reached a notable milestone in the Manitoba Junior Hockey League. The 20-year-old from the Saint-Rose-de-Lac has just played his 100th game of Junior A hockey. That achievement is even more impressive considering the circumstances of the last 2 years due to the restrictions and cancellations related to COVID-19. To help celebrate his 100th game, LaPointe scored a goal, assisting the Titans to secure a 6-4 win over the Selkirk Steelers. After the game Tuesday, January 4th, LaPointe told the Banner and Press it feels fantastic to be able to do this in Neepawa and to be a part of the team's steady improvement over the past few years. It feels great, especially being one of the older guys on the team, leading the way, noted LaPointe. There are a few memories that jump out for me in those 100 games. The High Life games always have a great energy to them. It's a pretty fun time. Back in my rookie year, there was the Manila Cup series with the Wayway Sikapo that was also a good one. It was a packed house. Other than that, just focused on what's ahead. We want to bring back the playoffs back to Neepawa, and we'll see how that is. And here we go, some pictures from the storm. Did someone order a snow day? If someone out there had their fingers crossed for a snow day, their wish was potentially granted on January 5th. After the snowy, windy conditions that began in the day and continued throughout the night on January 4th, many out-of-towners were likely to stay home. One such out-of-towner was Banner and Press staff member Kira Patterson, who braved the cold for a few minutes to take some pictures around the yard of the farm. Left, the blowing snow created some interesting and delicate drifts on the farm property. And above, these aren't your mini wheats, but they sure are frosted. The Patterson's hay bales got a generous dusting of the snow by the time the winter snow was over. And it seems Santa Claus toured Neepawa, and pictured as Santa Claus riding around in the fire engine. A couple of days before Christmas, Santa took a tour of Neepawa in a fire truck with Fire Chief Eve Gillis. Father Christmas went down many of the streets in town, waving to families as he went by, with the siren announcing his arrival. And we also have a submitted poem by Ross McBride, Old Man Walking. Walking to another sultry summer dawn, gone are the days of energy and brawn. These worn old feet hit the bedroom floor, it's mind over matter and out the door. Passing on the trails of this beautiful plain, forever humbled by its massive domain, stretching for miles so endless and vast, alone with the ghosts of those that have passed. There is subtle redemption in this great expanse, offering solace and mercy if given the chance, providing time to think in a positive way, to push back the past and face a new day. Every rise adds challenge to a walk, testing the will to gain the top, and the first reward for dogged persistence is seeing more hills than the now visible distance. Mile after mile, the same old song, where the downs are short and the ups are long. And while it isn't that obvious when racked with pain, there's pounds to lose and peace to gain. And let's go back to here. And there, after that poem about that, we'll see looking back. 2002, youngster enjoys final stretch of winter. And pictured is an unnamed youngster with some help was attempting to get the hang of skating at the flats around this time in 2002. 110 years ago, Tuesday, January 9th, 1912. Hugh Lee has sold his farm to Alex Fraser. The price paid was near the $21,000 mark. This deal was put through by the new real estate firm of Messrs. Brown and Norman. 100 years ago, Friday, January 6th, 1922. Dr. Margaret Patterson has been appointed Woman Police Magistrate for Toronto at a salary of $3,500 per annum. 90 years ago, Friday, January 8th, 1932, provincial police in Winnipeg put the wrong man on the train for deportation to Europe this week, while the original criminal escaped and is still at large. 80 years ago, Tuesday, January 6, 1942, the firemen who answered the call Saturday might have had good intentions, but the same never materialized as they found upon their arrival at the fire station that the truck wouldn't go. The chimney fire was at the home of Mr. and Mrs. Ashby, and they succeeded in getting it out. The condenser in the fire truck was the cause of the truck failing to start. Mentmore, Private Rex Williamson of the 18th Recon, who was stationed at Camp Borden, has been transferred to the Pacific Coast. 70 years ago, January 3rd, 1952, the first baby born in Neepawa District Memorial Hospital in 1952 was 6-pound, 13-ounce daughter to Mr. and Mrs. Roy Smith of Ridey Mountain. The baby, who will receive a large number of valuable gifts donated by Neepawa business firms, has been named Judith Lynn by the proud parents. 60 years ago, Friday, January 12, 1962. The Neepawa 2nd Militia Survival Training Course got underway Monday with 51 recruits enrolled. Identical number registered for the first course held in November and December. 50 years ago, Thursday, January 6, 1972. Tanya Diane Camera, Neepawa's New Year's baby, was born January 3rd at 2:20 a.m. She weighed exactly 9 pounds and was 20.4 inches long. Proud mother is Ivy Cameron of Neepawa. The men in the family, Father Dave, who is employed at the CCIL, and 20-month-old brother Darren Bruce, are quite pleased about the event as well. 40 years ago, Thursday, January 7th, 1982. George Windsor of Dauphin, formerly of Ridey Mountain, where he lived for many years, celebrated his 89th birthday on January 2nd, 1982. 30 years ago, Tuesday, January 7th, 1992. Langruth, Gordon and Goody McGuinness dropped in at Thorderson's en route to the 50th anniversary of the posts on December 27 in Plumas. 20 years ago, Monday, January 7th, 2002. The first baby of the year was welcomed at Neepawa's Hospital January 1st, New Year's Day at 8:50 a.m. Noah Alex Kleinsasser, son of Sammy and Thelma of Delta Colony, weighed in at 8 pounds, 3 ounces and was 20 inches long. Baby Noah is the couple's 5th child. And I saw it here somewhere. There they are. RCMP Spruce Plains Report by Corporal Jacob Stanton. During the week of December 27th to January 2nd, Spruce Plains RCMP dealt with 32 police activities. December 27th, RCMP responded to a commercial alarm in Neepawa that was discovered to have been pushed accidentally. Police attended and found nothing concerning. Police received a report of a disturbance at a residence in Neepawa. Police attended and were able to calm matters down. December 28th, RCMP conducted various traffic enforcement, engaging with several motorists. Tickets were issued for speeding and disobeying traffic control devices. December 29th, RCMP received a report of a suspected impaired driver near Neepawa. Police located and stopped the vehicle, where the driver passed a sobriety test. There were no other concerns. Police responded to a structure fire at a residence in the RM of North Cypress, Langford. The garage had a small chimney fire that was put out by the fire department. Damages were minimal. December 30, RCMP responded to 2 commercial alarms, one in Neepawa and one in the municipality of Westlake Gladstone. Both were determined to be false. Police received a report of fraud in Neepawa. The matter is still under investigation. December 31st, RCMP conducted various traffic enforcement, engaging with several motorists. Numerous tickets were issued for speeding. January 1st, RCMP responded to a residential alarm in Gladstone that was determined to be false. January 2nd, RCMP received a report of identity fraud in Minnedosa, where there was insufficient evidence to proceed further. Police responded to a two-vehicle collision in the RM of Minto-Adana, where one vehicle slid through a stop sign and struck another vehicle. One person was transported to the hospital to treat injuries, and both vehicles were towed. A ticket was issued to the driver at fault. RCMP conducted 18 traffic enforcement actions during this reporting period. Public service announcement. If you have any information about these crimes or any other crimes, please contact your local RCMP office or Crime Stoppers at 1-800-222-8477. Due to the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic, the Neepawa and Minnedosa RCMP detachments advise that they will be limiting front counter services at the detachments until further notice. We request that you contact each detachment at 204-476-7340 Neepawa or 204-867-2916 Minnedosa to inquire about criminal record checks or to file a report. Leave a message if needed, and it will be checked the following business day. Do not leave a message if you require immediate police assistance. You must dial 204-476-7338 Neepawa or 204-867-2751 Minnedosa or 911 to have a police officer respond to you promptly. And Out of Helen's Kitchen by Helen Drysdale. Sweet potato chicken stew. Several days of quilting and some sweet potatoes that needed using left me looking for a recipe to allow more time to quilt. So I adapted this recipe and put my slow cooker to work for a delicious solution to my busy schedule. Try this busy day recipe and enjoy the end results. I did. And it's got sweet potato chicken stew, 2 medium sweet potatoes, a medium onion diced, 2 cloves garlics minced or 1 teaspoon powdered garlic, 2 stalks celery sliced into 2-inch pieces, 3 carrots sliced into 2-inch pieces, half a sweet pepper diced, 6 to 8 chicken thighs or 4 chicken breasts cubed, a cup of apricot jam, a half a cup of maple syrup, a half a cup of teriyaki sauce, a teaspoon of fresh minced ginger or half a teaspoon of ground ginger, and a half teaspoon of pepper. Optional. 2 tablespoons cornstarch, 1/4 cup cold water. In a slow cooker, layer the first 6 ingredients in the order given. Place chicken pieces on top of the vegetables. In a bowl, mix the apricot jam, maple syrup, teriyaki sauce, ginger, and pepper. Pour over the vegetables and chicken. Cover and cook on low for 8 hours or until chicken is tender. If you desire the juices thicker, the last half hour of cooking, mix the cornstarch and 1/4 cup of water and add to the juices in the slow cooker. This stew goes well over rice, and it makes me hungry too. Let's see what else we have here. And just a few classified announcements. An obituaries in the paper for Wendy Mae Buer, who died after a brief illness on December 3rd, 2021 in Phoenix, Arizona. Turtle River School Division, the pre-budget planning session is January 18th at St. Rose School. The Municipality of North Cypress Langford annual public notice that additions to the voters list and or personal security protection requests. So that has to go in. And there's also a job posting for Building Inspector Development Officer for Neepawa Area Planning District. So if you're interested in something like that, give it a check. And as always, High Life is looking for meat cutters and personnel. And that appears to conclude all the news for the very first edition of 2022. Hope you enjoyed it and stay tuned for the next one. Thanks.